Show Planning and Zoning Commission regular meeting for Tuesday, August 10th, 2021. Roll call shows that all commissioners are here and present. We'll start tonight with invocation and pledge of allegiance. Invocation by Commissioner Lewis and pledge of allegiance by Commissioner Barlow. Please rise if you wish to participate.
Our Father in heaven, we're grateful to be here this evening. We're grateful for the opportunities that are afforded to us, great land, freedoms that we enjoy. We're grateful for the prosperity of a great nation, for our community. We're grateful for the health, strength that we have, for the opportunity we have to meet together tonight in such comfortable circumstances. Pray that our hearts and minds will be open, we'll be able to make correct decisions. We're grateful again for all which we are blessed with. Pray for wisdom and sound understanding for those who lead and guide this nation, those who guide our. Grateful for thee, and we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, seeing that we have no old business, we'll move to new business, and Mrs. Feckle-Cotter will let us know what that is.
Chair and Commissioners, Thomas Cedarblade has submitted a zone change request for property located at 2521, 2541, 2561, 2581, and 2601 Marshall's Run, more particularly described as APN 60088 through 092. This is Cedar Ridge, lot 88 to 92, per plat 24-5254 out of 210-33-047C, D005, D, and E for 2006 roll of Navajo County, more particularly described as APN 210-60088 to 092. Thomas Cedarblade has submitted a zone change request requesting to amend the current planned unit development zoning to allow single-family residential on these 5 parcels instead of commercial uses. On July 20th, 2004, the subject property was rezoned from C2, which is general commercial, to PUD, which is planned unit development, through ordinance number 2004-15. Conditions are attached. On October 10th, 2006, a zone change request was approved by the City Council to amend the conceptual plan of the existing PUD zoning, which converted 6 residential lots to commercial lots. The conditions of the zoning amendment are outlined in Ordinance 2006-23, which is also attached for review. The applicant has indicated that has been very little interest in the lots as commercial property, and that there are buyers for the lots if they can be utilized for single-family residences. Applicant held a neighborhood meeting on July 12th, 2021, and there were approximately 8 property owners in attendance. The property owners had questions regarding the types of homes and whether they would be owner or renter occupied, and general questions regarding the zone change process. No opposition was expressed. The property owner to the east has indicated that they will install fencing according to city code as the properties develop. The owners of the subject property may also elect to install their own privacy fencing. The current zoning of the surrounding properties includes to the north, PUD commercial, to the south, PUD residential, to the east, PUD commercial, and to the west, PUD residential. The current land uses of the surrounding properties include to the north, Cedar Ridge subdivision and office, to the south, the Pines condos, to the east, Audiology Inc., and to the west, Cedar Ridge subdivision. Transmittal memos were sent to all affected agencies, and applicable comments received include from the Timber Mesa Fire and Medical District, noted that the subdivision should meet the requirements for residential fire flow of 1,000 gallons per minute. Staff mailed letters to all property owners within 300 feet of the subject property, posted the property, and published a public notice in the newspaper in accordance with city code. No comments regarding their request have been received. since the mailing of these letters and the posting of this property. After reviewing the stands for review, the findings of fact, discussions with the applicant, the City of Shiloh Land and Zoning Ordinance, the City of Shiloh General Plan, staff recommends that the Planning and Zoning Commission approve zone change request 605-03-117 submitted by Thomas Cedarblade to amend the current planned unit development zoning on property located at 2521, 2541, 2561, 2581, and 2601 Marshall's Run. Described as Section 32, Township 10 North, Range 22 East, Cedar Ridge, Lot 88 to 92, per plat 245254, out of 21033-047C, D, 005D, and E, for 2006 roll of Navajo County, more particularly described as 21060-008 to 092, to allow single-family residential on these 5 parcels instead of commercial uses, and forward this recommendation to City Council subject to the following condition. 1, all development shall comply with the conditions of ordinance numbers 2004-15 and 2006-23. Lots 88 through 92 shall be limited to single-family residential, and minimum setbacks for these lots shall be consistent with lots 60 through 87 of Cedar Ridge. 20 feet from the street property line, a side of 5 feet, a side of 10 feet, and 10 feet from the rear property. Any easements on the subject property shall apply. Staff, as well as the applicant, are available for questions.
Thank you, Mrs. Feckelfelder. So we're going to open it up to the commission for any questions of staff.
I have one question.
Actually, let me get Commissioner Adams was up first. He got you just by a split second.
I was just wondering, is there any construction that needs to be reversed or torn out due to the zone change, or was all that pending based on a sale of land or anything to that extent?
I believe that would be a question for the applicant.
Perfect. Okay.
We'll hold that for them. Commissioner Roberts?
Is there sufficient setback from the road to these property lines that we won't run into similar issues as we've run into in past, where we had commercial properties that were rezoned as residential, and then when there was later development, there were some conflicts there because of the setback requirement? I know that nobody's crystal ball works very well, but in general, does it look like it would fit the general plan for any commercial use that might want to go there?
So are you speaking of the properties of the rezone or in front of it?
The commercial property that is existing.
Okay.
If the residential properties, if once they're developed as residential properties, will those residential property owners in the future possibly be negatively impacted by some unforeseen commercial development that we might see happening there or might know could happen there?
It's really hard to tell. I do know as far as the setbacks, there is quite a, with the topography of the property, they are up a little bit higher than the commercial property. So
on inspecting the properties, I see a fairly large slope headed down to the roadway.
Mm-hmm.
On the commercial property, well, actually on all of the properties.
Mm-hmm.
I guess my question is, have we anticipated that there could be a potential conflict with a future commercial application there to these residential properties?
Gotcha. So basically, usually there's a requirement for solid 6-foot screening. Since this is kind of a different, going from commercial to residential, the property owner to the east has indicated that, as that property will develop, that they will put up screening in that area. Answer that question for you?
And then I had one additional question, which is this now reduces again more our C2 properties that we have available in town. Does that look like this will be, these 6 lots probably won't make an impact in that since they haven't been viable to sell at this point? They're probably not going to have an impact on.
They're, because there's 6 individual lot, or 5, I believe, and they're so small as is. I think that's kind of been the issue, especially, you know, in that residential neighborhood.
Thank you.
Any other-
And if I could
sorry.
just add in, the 5 lots that we're discussing this evening, lots 88 through 92. When Cedar Ridge was originally developed back in 2006, those were proposed to be residential lots. So the dimensions of the lots, the setbacks of the setbacks match the residential lots directly across the street. So as far as setbacks and developable area and that type of thing, that was all, I guess, originally proposed at the time that the zone change and the PUD was originally approved. So basically, they're just reverting back to that original status with the property.
Any other questions for staff?
Yeah, so it said that so this proposed change is to change the 5 lots to residential, but it said they changed 6 lots. Are those all in the same spot, or I'm not quite understanding how it went from like 6 to 5.
Sure.
So if I may, the zone change, the amendment that happened in 2006 was lot number 1 in Cedar Ridge, which abuts the parking area
I'm tracking.
for the
Okay.
existing office building. The other 5 lots are the ones that were across the street. So they're not asking to change the zoning on the lot number 1. They're just looking at from lots 88 through 92.
Commissioner Roberts?
In staff's opinion, these fit the general plan and conform with those lots that are across the street, the residential lots that are nearby, and are compatible with the commercial development to the east and to the north.
Yes.
Commissioner Lewis?
To clarify something, so I make sure I heard you right. You mentioned, you talked about the screens, the screens,
Mhm.
and you said the property owner to the east was going to pay for, so Audiology Inc. was going to pay for that, or Cedar Blade is?
I believe it was for the Audiology Inc. property.
So as housing gets developed, they'll fill in. Okay.
It would be when the commercial develops.
But yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
So city code, the way city code is written, when you have a commercial property line that abuts a residential property line, which would be the end result if this zone change request is approved. Under city code, the person who, when the commercial property develops, that is when the fence is required. We always recommend when you have neighboring properties that the 2 property owners work together when it comes to installing fences, timing of fences, maybe even design of fences, and maybe partnering in costs for that fence. So that's always an option. The owner of the commercial property to the east, the Audiology Inc., and they are present here this evening. They may have some things to add, I don't know. They could choose to put the fence up at any time, or they could wait until such time as their property develops, and then they would be required to put up their fence. If the residential owner chooses to put up a fence, they can do so at any time. There's nothing that says they cannot put up a fence. But again, we would encourage the property owners to work together. It doesn't make a lot of sense to have 2 fences backing right up against each other. Definitely, we think that's the preferable option, but it's not the required option for them.
Any further questions for staff?
Yeah, I've got one more. Is there any potential impact that staff sees removing some of the commercial frontage from Marshall's Run, the road on the backside? Like if taking away that frontage might limit the development on that commercial piece based on not being able to put as many curb cuts on 260 or limiting what can go there because of the lack of access?
So There are two access points to that commercial property. There's one off of, I believe it's Cedar Ridge Run. Is that the name of that road?
Side there.
On the north side. They also have an access that they're currently utilizing that comes off of the Pines. That's shared access there. In 2006, when these 5 lots were converted from residential to commercial, that actually was a concern of the neighborhood. They did not want to see their neighborhood streets being utilized to access commercial property. So this would, I guess, help reinforce that the only people utilizing that for access would be residential lots and not a commercial property there to the east. So it's consistent with what we heard in the neighborhood meetings.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any further questions for staff? Okay, so open up any questions for the applicant, and I think Commissioner Adams had one. So if you would, please state your name and address here.
Yeah, hi, it's Thomas Cedarblade, and it's 2450 South White Mountain Road in Shoalo, Arizona. And no, there has not been anything done on the property since we originally put in the utilities for the 5 lots.
So there's nothing to rip out, no disturbance to the,
Nothing at all.
perfect. Thank
There
you.
are utility, oh, I'm sorry.
Commissioner Roberts. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I noticed utility boxes are already set there.
Yes, sir.
And
Yeah,
those,
all the utilities were put in for the 5 lots. Nothing is changing. The configuration of the original lots will remain the same with, as Justin said, the setbacks remain the same. Everything remains consistent to what it was in the 2004 original plan.
But these were originally designed to be residential plots.
Yes, they were.
Any other questions for the applicant? Thank you. So this, because this is a zone change, we would do a public hearing. So I'll open it to anyone in the public that might have any questions in regard to this particular item. Just come on up and just state your name and address, please.
My name is Jeff Moore, 2600 South White Mountain Road, the owner of the commercial. They're Audiology Inc. Actually, the owner name is Moore Sound Investment, for your information. Basically, it's maybe a question or two, if that's okay. One has to do with the electricity. Mentioned that the electric boxes are there on the proposed residential. Our office electricity ties in to that junction box. So the wires and everything goes underneath that property. What effect will this have on our property?
Staff. Is this APS or is this Navigation? APS.
Yes.
I would defer that question back to Mr. Cedarblade as the original developer for this.
Okay.
Whether there's easements in place or whether those need to be recorded as part of this.
Okay.
I was checking the plat. There is an easement that runs through lot 89, but that's a water line easement. It doesn't call out for other utilities. So.
Okay. And do you have any other questions? Or you want to have him answer that now and then?
No, one or two other questions. In regards to the fencing, actually, I appreciate the comments that were made in regards to the fencing. We're not opposed to the residential being changed to residential. We are opposed to being mandated, obligated to have to put in fencing if it's not in our plans. To me, it feels like we're being taxed to do that. So I do have to voice that as a concern. Now, we're not opposed to putting fencing if it's in accordance with plans that we may have in maybe the near future or long-term future. And just a comment about the road access and everything. I know it's been going over other property, but it's kind of like it's an unofficial secondary backdoor access onto the property that we've actually kind of blocked off. Because before we purchased the land, that road was actually, people were using it as a thoroughfare to go through our parking lot up into the Cedar Ridge. So we've actually blocked off closer to our parking lot. Note that. With the building going on to those properties, then we feel we need to have a secondary access. So that's going to force us to go down on the Cedar Ridge side and basically do cement work to be able to have some maybe backdoor access in case of an emergency. And probably tree removal and stuff. So anyway, any other thoughts? Okay, these are just some thoughts that were on our mind. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question for,
Go ahead, Commissioner Roberts.
I could. So when you built Audiology and you knew that the residential development was there and those lots were designed as commercial lots, where at one point they went from residential to commercial, and now we're looking at putting them back as residential. But when you put that building in, did you anticipate that you would probably need to do fencing because of those properties at some point in the future?
No.
Because even if they were commercial properties, wouldn't there be a need to have some fencing to define the property boundaries between the two? Or did you not anticipate that?
When we built our building for Audiology Inc., we actually purchased is about 1/3 of an acre. There on the corner where our building was. We did not own the rest of it. A couple of years ago, we were actually approached by the then owner of that commercial, who basically came to us and said, I own half of its parking, half of your parking lot. And he was an investor, and he was basically saying he's going to be probably selling it to someone else. So we felt that we needed to purchase the rest of that commercial property. And which, now it butts up to the property in question here. And so, of course, we never had thoughts of fencing or anything along those lines.
And so now you own the complete property from the street that goes into the Pines to the street that goes up into Cedar Ridge.
So currently, yes, we own, that's approximately a 3 acre, 2.5 to 3 acre. We are the owners.
That'd be track D.
Yeah, it's tract D.
So as the property owner below this development, to the east of it, do you anticipate any adverse effects to you from doing this rezoning?
From it going to residential, none that I can foresee, unless you get some crazy neighbors that are going to be, throwing balls over into the fence or things like that. I don't, in my mind, I don't see them.
Any other questions? Okay, with that, I wonder if staff, can you address the fence requirement at all?
So the fence requirement, as it is in city code right now, just to reiterate, when you have commercial that abuts residential, when the commercial develops, the commercial property is required to put up a fence. They are not required to put up a fence before they develop, only when the property develops as part of that project that would be moving forward.
Okay. But that's written into code.
That is city code right now, yes.
Okay. And then the roadway access that he had asked about, how does that?
So the roadway access, they do have the 2 accesses in place. In fact, if you go drive up Cedar Ridge Run, you'll see where there's the curb cut for the driveway going in. I've actually discussed that with Mr. Moore in the past. He's asked about being able to use that. I had indicated that if customers were using that as an access, and if you look at the aerial photo, that's a pretty long driveway from where their commercial building currently sits to where that Cedar Ridge Run on the north is. If that was customer access, then it would have to be hard surface. It either has to be asphalt or concrete. If they're using it as an emergency access, then we're okay with it being just, an improved surface for now, be improved to a paved standard when it develops with a commercial project. So there is that option, and there is that differentiation between the two. So.
Okay, and then if I can get the applicant, if you would not mind to answer a question about electric
Sure, not a
easement.
problem. APS actually, and it may not show on the original plat, but afterwards they did record an easement through, so that, and I'm almost positive that the water line easement and the electric easement are like 3 feet apart. So that is a full-blown easement through there. And there's actually, I think, 3 transformers that were all oversized to feed the commercial in the event of the commercial developing. And that was all part of APS's original plan. So there is down on Cedar Ridge Run. So if you're looking at the map right there where my big office is right there, across from there, there's a large electrical panel. And then on the 5 lots, I think there are 3 other pedestals to service the commercial and the lots. And if that is some type of concern that needs to be put in the minutes or whatever, if there's an electrical issue or a water issue, we'll grant whatever easements need to be granted. So that won't be a problem at all. Yes, sir.
One more question. The 2 vacant lots on either end of these 5 lots,
Those are retention ponds.
okay, so they'll be staying.
Yeah, they stay retention. Yes, sir.
So the water line and the electric easement are next to each other. Is there a possibility that that would limit the buildability of one of these lots for a residential purpose?
No, it does not.
Any other questions?
If I may, let me just say something about the fence too. The reason I came back here to do this is, again, the commercial's harder to sell than the residential since it's literally smack dab in the middle of the residential neighborhood. I have a gentleman interested in buying those lots, and he has indicated to my wife, who's handling the transaction, that he's more than likely going to put in his own fencing. And so that may not be a concern. What I told Justin when we discussed it was, I'm just going to put Jeff and David together and let them work out whatever they want to do on fencing. But I'm very confident that David is more than likely going to do fencing ahead of time rather than at a later date. And I think that he did not indicate to us that he expected Jeff to put in any money at all. So I think if the two of them get together and work something out, whether Jeff wants to build it or not, David's very agreeable. I think he would want to build a fence or some type of blocking to make both people happy, because he's a pretty decent guy. So I'm not as concerned with that. And again, if that needs to be included in this thing where the two owners work it out or whatever, I don't think there's any issue with that either. Okay.
Any other question? Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So I guess just to point out, the way the city code is written, there has to be that fence between the residential and the commercial. If the owner of the residential elects to put the fence up, that does not mean that the adjacent commercial property owner also would have to put a fence up. The fence would be in place, it would be allowed to stay and remain. And there would not have to be a second fence just backed up right to that. Again, we definitely recommend that the property owners, and it sounds like the purchaser of the property is at least agreeable to working with the adjacent property owner to see if they can come up with a solution that works for both property owners. So,
Any further questions? Mr. Moore, does that answer your questions? With that, I think I can close the public hearing portion, and I'll move it back to the commission for any further questions or entertain a motion.
I'll go ahead and
Make a motion?
move to recommend approval of the zone change request 605-03-117 submitted by Thomas Cedarblade to amend the current planned unit development PUD zoning on property located at 2521, 2541, 2561, 2581, and 2601, Marshall's Run, Shoalo, Arizona, described as Section 32, T10 North, R22 East, Cedar Ridge, Lot 88 to 92, per plat 245254, out of 210-33-047C, D, 005D, and E for the 2006 roll of Navajo County, more particularly described as APN 210-60-088-092, to allow single-family residential on these 5 parcels instead of commercial uses, subject to staff recommendations, and forward this recommendation to the City Council.
I have a second.
A second.
So a second by Commissioner Lewis. Any discussion? All in favor? Please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that passed unanimously.
Thank you, Vice Chair. This item has been scheduled for a public hearing with the City Council at next week's City Council meeting, where we'll follow the same format as we did this evening. So, thank you.
Okay, with that, we'll move to call to the public, and this is a point in time when anybody can speak on any topic that's not on the agenda. And if I don't have anybody that wants to come up, would you like to come up? Yes. Okay, I've got to read the boilerplate, so you can go ahead and start to approach the podium. Any citizen desiring to speak on a matter that is within the jurisdiction of Planning and Zoning Commission may do so at this time. Comments may be limited to 3 minutes per person and shall be addressed to the Planning and Zoning Commission as a whole and not to any individual member. Issues raised shall be limited to those within the jurisdiction of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Pursuant to the Arizona Open Meeting Law, the Planning and Zoning Commission cannot discuss or act on items presented at this time. At the conclusion of the call in public, individual Planning and Zoning Commissioners may, 1, respond to criticism made by those who have spoken, 2, ask staff to review a matter, and 3, ask that matter be put on a future agenda. So if you would, sir, please I need your name and your address.
Sure. Okay. I'm Tim Foley and I live over 561 North 9th Drive. And I've lived here for a while, not as long as maybe some of you, but it's been over a decade now, and I've seen the place grow, since 2009. And I don't know how else to say it. I had this vision of a bridge connecting 77 Thornton to 6th. And then when the Bike to Bluff happened, the vision just intensified. And I don't know how much this place is going to grow. I was a little surprised by the 2020 census compared to the 2010 census. When looking at the Deuce so often, I'm like, wow, it must be. Where I was talking with my friends, is it up by 20? It feels like it's 20 plus right here, let alone Pine Top. So I don't know how much it's going to grow. And y'all may have a better idea. There's a preventative aspect, I think, to it. That's what I see it. And if it's going to grow, and if they're going to put a bridge by the movie theater, and that's just going to be a matter of convenience and for everyone. It crossed my mind, and then it just wouldn't leave. And I don't know exactly what it would take, but I've been looking into it, and it's something we could think about. I don't know all the details or how it would work, but that's one thing I've been meaning to mention and stop by. I've just been working and AA meeting, and I didn't mean to be late. But thank you for your time, and that's just an idea. I'm going to plant that seed, and if it's unworthy, then I hope it doesn't happen, and vice versa. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. I appreciate that. I don't know if we can't really. Nope. Okay. Anybody else? Okay, with that, I'll close the call to the public. Move to item 8, which is the approval of the minutes for the Planning and Zoning Commission regular meeting of July 13th, 2021. The minutes in your packet. I'll entertain a motion to approve those.
Vote to approve.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
So motion by Commissioner Adams, second by Commissioner Roberts. All those in favor?
Aye.
Seeing that everyone voted yes, that approved unanimously. So with that, I'll move to item number 9, which is a summary of current events. Start with Commissioner Lewis.
I would just like to express public gratitude for the moisture that we've received. We've been blessed. Oh, God.
Commissioner Hatch.
Happy to be here. That's all I have.
Commissioner Adams.
Back to school time, we had the opportunity to go to a few different schools and meet some teachers, and I just wanted to take the time to express my gratitude to all the educators out there who plan and prepare and are educating our youth. So very appreciative of them and their efforts.
Commissioner Roberts.
Just wanted to express gratitude for the fact that we didn't have any major fires, that the moisture helped us, and our public safety and first responders have been out there helping us with all the incidents that have occurred. And we've enjoyed their organization and the organization of the city.
Commissioner Barlow.
I guess just to further draw attention to a school starting and all the kids and the additional traffic out on the roads, especially early in the morning and the afternoon, just for all of the non-students out there, just to be more aware when they're on the road.
I'll say yes, back to school, please remember. And, everybody just slow down, pack your patience when you go out there in the roadways and relax. One thing I want to call out is city staff. We get hit with a lot of rain really quick. And yes, things flooded, but I think it would have been far worse if it weren't for the maintenance that has been done over the years here. And then they were out there working hard to clear things up, clean things up. So, obviously would have loved it if it had not flooded, but there was a lot of hard work. I think we should all be proud of the staff that we have here at the city. Director.
Just a couple things. First of all, the commission, currently we only have 6 members. We have been accepting applications to fill the vacant seat. That closed on Friday at 5. We did receive 3 applications for commissioners or people interested in serving as commissioners. That will be going to city council next week for appointment. So we should have a full commission the next time we meet, which will be good. We appreciate all of you and what you do for this community. Secondly, I'd just like to announce that we are entering into what we call our capital improvement plan timeframe. For those who are interested in kind of projects around the city, take a look in your water bills, also on the city website. There's a way for you to submit requests for capital improvements. These are things like sidewalks, they're things like playground equipment. Just whatever it is that you see around town that you think, hey, it'd be really nice if we had that. Submit those. Most of the time, we do not get any type of requests. And so it falls to staff to try to, use the magic 8 ball to figure out what our citizens want. I think we're usually pretty good at that, but we could hit the mark a little closer if we had a little bit more citizen input. So we would like to request that. As part of that, we do include things from like our transportation master plan, which includes proposed bridges and other transportation routes. I will say that we have 3 bridges in our transportation master plan. One off of down by Sholo Lake, one there at Wolford, and one on the Thornton alignment, which would come through the industrial park, tie into Thornton, and eventually not only just to 6th, but that also connects to Central, and eventually that'll connect all the way over to 22nd as part of our transportation master plan. So those are things that we use to help incorporate when we are doing that CIP, the capital improvement program. So again, just take a look, and if there's something you're dying that you think, man, the city really could use this, please let us know. So thank you.
Thank you, Director Trugaskis. And with that, I'll adjourn the meeting.